Easy credit was not a creation of our time. In fact, the whole idea was invented in the 20s. Before then, people didn't buy something until they'd saved up enough to pay for it.
Virtues like thrift and frugality and hard work, all of that changes almost overnight in the 1920s. And Wall Street becomes the form of instant gratification in terms of making money very quickly. Women, for the first time, became significant participants in the marketplace. Beauty parlors have ticker tapes installed in them for women to do their trading while they were taking care of their hair. Taxi cab drivers were playing the market. People were caught up in the frenzy.
Stock prices soared all during the long Wall Street boom of the 1920s, fed in part by the availability of credit. Buying stocks on credit, called buying on margin, encouraged speculation, which in turn fed the stock market bubble. Just like the 20s, easy money in our day helped fuel the housing bubble. When the Fed dropped the overnight rate to 1%, mortgages became so cheap, virtually anybody could afford to buy a house.
There's nothing quite like very low interest rates for getting us into trouble. They lead people to take imprudent steps, to borrow much more than they should, to speculate much more than they should.
Mike Francis witnessed firsthand how easily banks handed out mortgages and loans at his former job as executive director at a leading mortgage trading desk.
A liar's loan would be another nickname that we had for a type of loan in the industry. The borrower gets to state how much they make. They could lie about what that amount of money was that they made because we weren't going to verify it. Eventually, we would not require that they have a job, that they just show they have a credit score and that they breathe on a mirror and they could get a loan.
In one state, credit became so easy to get you didn't even have to be alive to get it. In Ohio, during the recent subprime mortgage crisis, 23 loans were written for people later discovered to be deceased.
What's the risk anyway? Kind of infused our entire economy.
One reason lenders were increasingly willing to make these risky loans was a financing tool called mortgage-backed securities. Lenders hastily resold their loans in bulk to Wall Street banks. The banks, in turn, bundled the loans into high-yielding mortgage-backed securities and sold them to investors around the world. The idea was that pooled risk shared by investors around the globe should be safe enough to earn AAA ratings.
The rating agencies, such as Standard & Poor's and Moody's, they didn't understand them, and they were giving high ratings to these securities that they didn't have a clue what was really involved in terms of risk.
Think of it as a garbage compactor. You get 25 pounds of garbage, right? And it's big and awkward and unsightly. And then you put it in the compactor, and what do you have? 25 pounds of garbage, but looks better. That is a mortgage structure.
And the hottest investments in 2006 and 2007 were these mortgage-backed securities.
Mortgage-backed securities really took off in 2000. That same year marked the culmination of 30 years of deregulatory efforts on the part of Congress. Evoking none other than Abraham Lincoln, Senator Phil Gramm sounded the clarion call to end the era of unnecessary regulation over Wall Street.
I think we would do well, Mr. Chairman, to remember the Lincoln adage that to ask a society to live under old and outmoded laws, and I think you could say the same about regulation, is like asking a man to wear the same clothes he wore when he was a boy.
He was wrong. Deregulation contributed to this huge bust that we're going through right now. When capitalism becomes unfettered, you can see the consequences.
Next, we'll